Well. Here we are once more, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to your midweek fantasy fix. My name is Jack, the Lost Law Scholar. This is supposed to be a weekly show, but it's becoming sort of more bi-weekly. Same thing might happen again next week, as there's a bit of a scheduling issue with a recording session of something that I am doing for you guys. I think you guys are really going to enjoy, but it might be that the next week gets cancelled, but we'll see. It might not be. It's going to be a bit of a light-hearted one this week. I've not really got a massive amount planned. We had a last-minute addition to my panel today. But let's have a quick look at who we've got around. We have got Trouble Cat. Hey, TC. Do behave yourself, because the mod wife is ill, but she is around. So please, everyone, do wish the wife a swift recovery, as she is suffering a little with what I had last week. Ultra, hello. We have one of the Bad Toe brothers. Hello, sir. We have Liverpool. Hello. Yes, the Jack. Okay. The Jack Pack is still going. Yes. We have got Jeffrem Denkar over on Rumble. Hello, Jeffrem. Yes, we are still in the situation where if you want to support me, then the best way to do so is via Rumble Rants, as we are not monetized on YouTube as of yet, because I have been slacking horribly, and I will try and get back to the grind. Amazing Gaming Productions. Hello, sir. Always good to see you. And of course, we have a few others in the chat, but I will bring them into here, because this wouldn't be much of a panel show without some panelists. I've got my pick of Welshmen, so let's eeny, meeny, miny, mo, that one. Yo.
What did you just call me?
A Welshman.
Oh, dear.
I've doxed you to your general national area.
You've done it again. Oh, God.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, Lord Mateus to the chat. Hello. No, I am still dead. How are you?
A little more alive than last time I was on this show.
Yeah, because you were ill the last time. Yeah, and then Variax was ill on the same. Yeah, everyone was everyone's died a death on this side of the pond.
Yeah.
You know who
else?
It's
the rage virus going around.
You know who else nearly died a death on this side of the pond?
Your wife.
Yeah, but I was thinking more Dean.
That was my second guess.
Oh, Jack. Hiya, bros.
Yeah, I'm still dying. So if you suddenly see me just mute up and then sort of hack up a lung in the background, I do apologize.
It's good to see you alive and well, though, Jack, even if you are coughing.
Yeah, so you are a master of illusions, otherwise known as a liar, because we have been working on things behind the scenes. But shh, it might come up today if we have time. It might not, but we will see. No, I will say that there are many things in the works that Dean has shown Brass and myself, and Variax as well, that have me excited for next week's offerings. But we'll leave it there for now. Just, watch this space. Guys, we've this is going to be another UK stream where we're going to have... Oh, God. We were going to have just, 3 guys from the UK chatting. But, we've had a yank last minute stick his nose in. It's Kyle.
Not just any yank. Yank. Yank.
You'd be counted as a Yankee, wouldn't you? You're North.
I mean, I don't care. Whatever. I've got a musket, if that matters.
What kind?
That matters.
What kind of musket?
I have an SKS.
That's a musket.
7.62 millimeter, loaded with 30 round clip with Russian hollow points.
That's not a musket. I thought you were going to say you got like a brown Bess or something. Which, by the way, I really want one of those. But the UK's gun laws are such that you would have to destroy it to make it unfireable before you could mount it over like a mantelpiece or something.
Yeah.
And it kind of makes me sad that I would have to destroy a piece of history like that in order to own it.
And move to the States, man.
Maybe if I want to go into like the Wild West, I just sort of need to hop over the border into these two's draconic homeland.
Yeah, I mean, so let me ask you this real quick, and I'm sorry to interrupt, but you're English, and you hang out with Welshmen.
Yes.
It's because he doesn't have any friends.
I mean, sometimes the brutal truth is yeah, Brass is correct. I don't have friends. Besides, Brass is a fake Welshman. Both his parents are English.
English blood, Welsh, whatever.
How about you, Dean? What's your credentials? How Welsh are you? Bear in mind, if it's anything over 50%, you've got to leave the stream.
No. I'm originally from Zimbabwe, so Africa. But I've lived here since I was 16, so I consider myself very Welsh.
Yeah.
You see, I feel like I've had the rug pulled out from underneath me here.
Man.
You've got the most boring origins, Jack.
Yeah, England back into the bloody pre-Roman Britons. I am. Oh man,
people from all over the globe, and yet we're all still white guys. That's just amazing.
What kind of white?
Wait, how do you know what color I am?
He's brass.
Well, yeah, okay, white brass.
Right. Let's. I realize this is all good fun. We're treading dangerously close to culture war issues. Let's get the hell away from this conversation.
I'm just poking fun. Please don't knock on Jack's door.
Good God. Maybe I do need some sort of like ambulance knocking on the door because I am going to die horribly. Right. Lord Mateus has arrived. Someone else?
Matt.
Stug's here. Hello, Stug. By the way, do you guys play many World War II tactics games or anything like that?
No.
I shit you not, one of my most played Steam games is Men of War Assault Squad 2. And like there's a Stug variant that you can get. It looks like a Stug, but it's called a Hetzer. That thing is invulnerable. I hate it when someone's playing the Germans and they pick that vehicle because you just can't do anything about it for most of the game. Anyway, that's just me going off on a tangent. We've also got Drama Goblin over on X. Hello, sir. Because yes, we are multi streaming because of course we are. Oh, right. Yeah, excuse me. Just put me out my misery. And they all go silent.
Is this Daggerfall music?
No, it's Daggerfall music is sadly copyrighted. Otherwise, I would be using it.
It's about on par, I think.
You ever played Daggerfall, Dean? Yeah.
Yeah.
This sort of goes. This sort of goes into what we were talking about before Kyle jumped in backstage. Video games. We have at present. Okay. Before we get into video games. We have a Rumble rant. I think that's another rant. Yeah, we have 2 Rumble rants because, we need to pay the bills. I thank you very much, gentlemen. Firstly, we have the Ultra TTRPG who has donated $2 dues. I now need to go and find it. Here we go. When the Boston Tea Party happened, rumor has it the Jack was in the water catching the tea in many mugs. Can confirm. And then we had the one, the only Jeffram Denkar, who says, curious about your favorite conventions and notable items you scored there. He's off this week to Anime North Canada's largest fan-run convention with a large gaming section as part of it. Many of you guys do conventions?
I have never done a convention in my life. There's multiple that I have almost gone to and then didn't because the prices were insane.
Yeah,
and I am a poor Welshman, working class, poverty, all that sort of thing. Third world country, actually, depending on where you go.
So the mine's shut down, and that was your source of income.
So I
gone.
cannot afford like a 500 quid anime con ticket. I don't think they're that bad actually, but
How about you, Dean? Go to many cons?
Yeah. I've done quite a few conventions. In fact, last year we were at the UK Games Expo running a stall there and doing demo games and stuff like that. And the buzz you get actually being at the convention, running a stall, meeting people is fantastic. There's nothing like it.
Kyle?
Surprisingly, as old as I am, and with people give me a lot of credit, which I don't deserve. I've never been to a convention ever in my life.
No, fair enough. I think I've been to one or two. The problem I have is I don't like people, especially large crowds of people.
You don't like crowds, right? You're like me.
Yeah.
You like individuals. Sometimes. Depending on the individual, but you don't like groups.
Very true.
And that's exactly how I am.
But I was like every millennial worth his salt. I was diagnosed with chronic anxiety disorder back in my youth. But I should, if I am in a large crowd, like the heart palpitations, they get up there, and I'm suddenly very aggressively snappy.
Okay.
A small child suddenly walks in front of me, and I have to resort, tell myself not to punt it out of the way. No, I don't enjoy crowds. Funnily enough, there are times where I can deal with them, and that is when I've gone live action role playing or when I'm reenacting. And I think it's because I have the option to just hit people.
Oh no. Okay. Wait a minute. So this I'm new to this. You LARP.
I did back in the day.
Okay, well, or you have LARPed. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Who else here has LARPed?
I haven't officially.
Yeah, I've done.
Jack was going to get me into it, but it never
we can do
happened.
that sort of thing now because I'm on the road. We can go.
I have done reenactment training, but not in an actual battle. So I've put the kit on, and I've practiced some moves and some drills, but never actually been in a big reenactment battle.
Dean? Dean, have you ever LARPed?
Yes, I have, but it's more fantasy LARPing rather than reenactment. Going back a long time, we had something called The Gathering, which was held up here, Birmingham way. I attended that a few times. Thoroughly enjoyed it, but when you got a lot of people coming together, the egos kind of rise to the top and dominate. So I find it as rewarding. But that said, when you get a small group of people, a good bit of LARPing,
it's great
costume, foam swords, hit people over there.
It's amazing.
It's fantastic.
Okay.
Really good.
Let me find. Where's my button? Where's my button gone? I've lost my button. There it is.
I've never LARPed because that shit's for nerds.
True. That's the real reason I never went through with it.
It's just occurred to me I didn't actually introduce Dean and Kyle. Kyle, that's Dean. Dean, that's Kyle. There you
go. Nice to meet you.
I'm bathing in your freedom right now. American freedom, nothing quite like it.
You say that. But last time
we're not really all that fucking free.
They can't even walk across the road without getting arrested.
You can do anything as long as you don't get caught.
Oh yeah, good point.
I don't think it was the last time that I went to the States, but it was the time previous. I was up near Yosemite with the wife, and and we went into this knife shop, and there was this, guy in a cabin on the side of a mountain, and he was just selling knives, it was bigger than your forearm. Like, this is a knife, my friend, this is a short sword.
That's not a knife, this is a knife.
Exactly. Very Crocodile Dundee. And he's like, yeah, we can sell this to you. I've sold it to people before and got it into the country for you. And I was like, I am not going through London Heathrow with a sword practically that is bigger, like bigger than my forearm. I am not doing this. I don't know if she remembers that, but I remember going in there and just being, good God, you can just walk out with these things?
Sure.
Anyway.
Yeah. Man, it's the States, man.
Yeah, you need it for hunting. Right. We have another Rumble Rant. Good. For $5 do. So Lord Mateus is top donator. He gets the feet pics today. Curious about the gaming scene in the UK. What is the most popular game? What types of games are typically played? I think 5th edition is probably far and away the most popular TTRPG, but I would probably say if you're thinking tabletop in particular, not necessarily RPGs, it'd be 40k. We'll have a 40k, far and away. What do you guys think?
Yeah, because anywhere you go in the UK, we don't really have a lot of stores that sell D&D stuff or any other TTRPG. You get Games Workshop stores, and it's just Warhammer, and it's in every town. But if you want to go out and buy the latest D&D book, it's actually kind of hard to find sometimes unless you live in a big city.
Yeah. We got
nowhere to look.
We got a big store called Firestorm Games in Cardiff, and they've got 2 levels. Took over an old car showroom, and the top level is just huge tables and most
I've been there.
Yep, just massive Warhammer tournaments.
Long time ago.
Yeah. If it was long time in the original store, they moved a few years back.
It might have been the original. I don't remember it being that big. I do remember Firestorm Games, but I don't remember it being huge.
It's amazing how much tabletop wargaming happens in the UK.
I was in Ireland a few years ago, and we visited Dublin, of course, and but we also saw Killarney, and we went and we stayed there for a while. And there was a gaming store there, and I was just curious. So dumb American walking in, and it seemed to be primarily Warhammer, and everybody had skittle-colored hair.
Well, of course, back in the day, Games Workshop (GW) did They did the distribution in the UK for TSR, I believe.
Yes. I believe you're right.
And I think they had a lot to do with Hero Quest back in the day. I think Hero Quest was originally a Games Workshop offering, or some people from Games Workshop funded the splinter company that set the original Hero Quest up. I don't remember. I
was just going to say, Killarney's not that big of a population center, right? It's reasonably small. I mean, it's a tourist attraction. But you go in there and it's like I didn't see any Dungeons and Dragons stuff. I saw a ton of GW products, mostly, Warhammer 40K stuff. So, I don't know if that means anything or not. You guys would know better than I would, but that was just my experience with it. I still thought it was cool as hell. I took some pictures.
Yeah, it is mostly Games Workshop stuff.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Michael McLaughlin has joined the chat. Hello, sir. Welcome. We have had another Rumble Rant. I realized we were going to talk about some video game stuff, but people keep giving me money, so they take priority. I keep getting calls, says Louverpool for $1 do. I keep getting calls and having to turn off the sound on the stream. These fuckers. Then again, those calls are why I can afford to rant rumbles at you.
I'll be right back.
Righto. No worries, Luke. I appreciate all.
He also asked a very important question earlier on in chat. He was saying to ask me how green my valley is. But unfortunately here, it's very brown and grey.
That's because it's a desert. It's
not a desert. I just look out my window and I can just see Bristol over there. And it's like the industrial half of Bristol as well. It just got smoke billowing into the sky.
I was
the
trying
Seven
to
Rivers just brown.
Owner.
Yeah, that too.
Although, to be honest, the train line that goes along the mouth of the Severn is really, really quite fun.
Oh yeah, that's nice.
Is that Victorian? I feel like it's Victorian. Only because when I'm going over it feels like I'm about to tip over into the Severn.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. It was probably used by coal miners at some point.
Most likely. Right. No, we were going to talk about some video game stuff. And that is that I read just briefly before we came on air that Oblivion remastered. I realize I brought this game up a lot over the last few streams. Oblivion remastered is apparently in the US the fastest selling title of April, and I find that incredibly curious. Some of you might remember when I was on Wick TV earlier in the year or last year, I can't remember which, and I had the pleasure of speaking to God of War creator David Jaffe, and he was insisting to me that the games industry was not in a terrible place at all. In fact, Trouble Cat was in chat a little while ago. He was on that stream with me. Now, one thing I remember reading a little while ago was that much of today's game time, at least through Steam, is spent in games that are several years old, if not older. You guys feel that most people's game time is spent in games that are about as old as them?
That is definitely true on Steam. I don't know what it's like, because I feel like a lot of Zoomers might not even be on Steam. They might be on Epic. And I don't know what the numbers are like on Epic.
I had to uninstall Epic Games because it was preventing part of my Windows security, Windows Defender security from activating properly. It would not allow me to have my cores in my processor.
Well,
so Epic had to go.
Yeah, I have never installed it, and anytime I'm looking forward to a game and it's Epic Game exclusive, it might as well not exist. I'm not going near it. But yeah, I think I don't know what it is exactly. Maybe it's just all old games are better, but most of the time on Steam, it's not even old games. It's just like Fortnite, for example, right now is considered an old game. Believe it or not. There's a game. It's like 8 years old now, or 7 years old, something like that. But you know, us older people look at Fortnite and we see that as like the sort of skibbity riz Gen Alpha brain rot.
But that game is nostalgic for some people, which is
yeah. Minecraft is hugely nostalgic for like a lot of even people in their 20s now. Minecraft is that was their childhood.
I played Minecraft when it first released into beta on a New Year's Eve. That was a while ago.
I bet it sucked back then.
I don't know. I think there was a point in Minecraft where you were looking forward to every update, and then it just got silly. And I'm not sure where the tipping point was. I think when I go back to it now, it's very oversaturated.
Also, Ultra said Skyrim still has more people playing on Steam in comparison to Oblivion, which is something I did talk about last time I was on stream. But as someone else mentioned in chat, that's probably because of the modding scene.
It's specifically the boob modding scene. Have you ever been on the Skyrim Nexus? It is degeneracy, and I love it.
No, dude, it's Skyrim Nexus. Amateurs. Fucking amateurs.
We do not mention the other place here. You must never go there, Simba.
Okay, well, but there's another place where there's more mods. You know, honestly, I don't know that it's the boob thing, Jack. I mean, I think that's part of it. But I mean, if you go on Nexus mods, I mean, there's some great mods for Skyrim that ramp up like resource management, survivability. I mean, really digs into a lot of the old school TTRPG stuff, right? You know,
yeah, people tell us that won't sell.
Yeah, but I mean, you know, if you want a mod to make your enemies like actually fight like enemies should,
smart,
and make the game, smart, and make the game much more difficult. There's also stuff, you know, you're walking around, you know, if you're playing a female and you're walking around in bikini armor, you know, there's mods that it's like you're going to get hypothermia. right?
That's my kind of mod.
There's great mods for that. There's great mods for that. That's one of the best things about the game, and honestly, one of the reasons that I never got the new Oblivion was because I was like, fuck, I can just mod Oblivion because there's enough mods that do the same goddamn thing.
Yeah, I will say that I've enjoyed my time with Oblivion Remastered. Dean, I think you picked it up as well.
I did, but I actually paid a $5 for mine. I took out 1 month of PC Game Pass. Which is $5.
Yeah.
And I think this brings me on to why I think some of the figures are skewed, especially nowadays. It's not the Epic Store as such, but there's so many games, AAA games, they're released and they immediately released on the Game Pass for Xbox.
That's true, yeah.
So Steam figures seem to go down. In reality, yeah, people aren't playing on Steam. They're either playing on Epic or, more than likely, playing on the Game Pass. But it also then brings me round to the fact that they say Oblivion was the best-selling title.
Fastest selling.
Given that it was also released on Game Pass means it actually did really well to sell on top of being part of a subscription service from day one. So I think that's very telling for an old game to still beat the competition.
Thanks for the $1 due, by the way, Louverport, to say that Kyle is wrong. It's the tits. I think a thing with the Oblivion remaster there is it's a known quantity. So if you're going to put your $50 dues down on it, you already know what you're going to get, right down to the scuffed voice lines that they kept in the game.
That's most of the reason people play that game.
Yeah, they kept the soul of the game. They just gave it a new coat of paint.
If it wasn't for the comedy, it would just be a worse Skyrim.
I will say, if I was going to suggest that someone play Oblivion for the first time, though, I think I would suggest they play the original. Because I think that the health regen in the new just makes the game so easy.
Yeah.
And that resource management is lost.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. That game was piss easy.
Yeah.
I remember I was going into that one dungeon and you knew that Umbra was in there. You're like, oh, don't tell him. Oh, he's going to run it. And I just two-shot the fucker.
Yeah, and then you put it up to expert and all of a sudden everything takes 1,000,000 hits to kill.
I was like, I just killed this random orc lady. Who is this? Oh, she's dropped the sword. Actually, I forgot about the sword. I picked up her armor.
She's a boss.
I left the sword on the ground. I didn't see it. And you're like, wait, that's like the most legendary sword in the game. You've left it there. Oh, I didn't see it. Sorry.
Let me ask you guys this real quick. Obviously we're talking Oblivion and Skyrim. We're talking mods. Is there another studio that has embraced third-party content, meaning mods, to the extent that Bethesda has? And is that kind of is it a one-up for Bethesda, the fact that they've done this? It's like, that they pretty much like, hey, yeah, go nuts, guys.
The closest I can think is Larian, though I wouldn't say that the mods for Baldur's Gate 3 are as deep as Skyrim. But then again, you got to remember that the older Skyrim versions have very good modding scenes, and then they tried to take it away.
Right.
That was Bethesda as well. So
yeah, and so my I guess the ultimate question for me is why haven't other game dev studios caught on to this? I mean, Skyrim came out it's almost 20 years ago now.
No, not quite. 15.
I mean, 15. Okay, 15 years ago now. It's still one of the most widely played games, and it's very much like you said, Jack. It's very much because of mods, regardless of the type of mod.
Yeah. Sorry, Kyle. We're forgetting one studio that really does support mods, and that's From Software with the Dark Souls series and Elden Ring.
yeah.
You've got huge conversion mods that have kept those running for decades.
That's really not something that you
Okay.
tend to associate with modding. But yeah, you are right.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'm just curious because I'm not as well versed in gaming as many of you are, and so. But I mean, from my point of view, it's like Bethesda's kind of embraced it, and it's like
No one does it
all-
quite like Bethesda, and I think that's because they create a construction set before they create a game. So they can just give you the tools that they themselves use to make
Okay.
something. So I think the fact that their engines, as buggy as they are created
yeah,
for ease of creative use,
it's
helps an awful lot.
Bethesda for a reason, right?
Yeah, it's a feature.
Yeah.
So I know my way around a little bit of the Morrowind and Oblivion creation engines. I didn't really mod Skyrim myself all that much, but then I suppose there's a new modding scene on the horizon, and that's right, guys. It's we're 36 minutes into the stream, and I'm going to bring up Wayward Realms because they, from the interviews I've seen, they are going to be giving you access to prompt the large language AI, like the LLM that they've got plugged into their game, so that you can kind of tell it what you're most interested in at the start, and it will go from your prompts and your themes that you want to explore, which I think is a very cool idea. Because when you talk about modding, this opens up modding to an entire new level of granularity. So I've told you before, Kyle, over on the Speak, that I've tested Grok out a few times, both by getting it to play a character that I DM and trying to have it dungeon master for me. And it can do fairly well for something that is very new and not designed for it. So I reckon that LLMs, when they start being integrated into video games, will bring an entire new modding scene as well, because no longer do you need to open up a creation kit. You just tell the computer what you want and it will implement it as much as it can. What do you guys
That sounds way too ambitious. This game's never going to release.
No. I think Jack is 100% correct, and I think
I'm always correct.
No, I think it's coming, and I think people don't realize. Let's look at AI, what it was, say, 2 years ago, and where it's at now. I mean, the company I work for, and I work for a Fortune 100 company here in the States. We are implementing AI into a lot of our processes, for concerning distribution and product supply and inventory and that kind of thing. And I really think that the majority of people have no idea what is about to happen within the next 5 to 10 years, because where we were 2 years ago compared to where we are now, there's going to be an exponential increase on things. And it's frightening. It's also kind of heartening in a weird way. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, but I mean, I think Jack's right. I think that give it 5 years and you're going to have an LLM attached to most of your major AAA releases, and you're going to be able to go in and it's like, hey, you know what, I
give it 5 years, you're going to have an LLM attached to most of your cars, your microwaves, everything.
Well, on the topic of AI, Fortnite released a Darth Vader AI. I don't know if any of you have seen this. And within like 5 seconds, it was immediately saying racial slurs and very, very inappropriate things.
Do you remember that Google AI? What was the Google AI like 6 years ago?
No one remembers
they
that.
put on Twitter.
Yeah, I remember that. It went extremely right wing, very, very fast.
very quickly.
Well, and a lot of that is because AI is trained to learn on what it's fed, right? So if you've got an AI that's specifically for this game in this situation, it's reading comments, it's reading, it's looking at the players, it's looking at the shit they say, it's looking what's in chat, and it feeds that back. That's not necessarily an indication of exactly what AI is going to do. I mean, there was also recently a story not too long ago, and I forget the source on this, but where AI started talking about the Immaculate Conception of
Yes.
Mary, the mother of Jesus Christ. Right? I mean,
yeah. But then there was another story recently. So you had, by the way, Lord Mateus, check your Twitter messages. If you look at that story, which was I think Bard, Google's AI, Grok recently has been talking about white genocide unprompted. So people have been like, oh, we need to be very careful about how much stock we put into the AI's ability to sort of give us prophetic announcements,
right?
because
But
people go, oh, look, I'm a Catholic. I believe in the Immaculate Conception. And people say, oh, yes, look, the Virgin Mary is true and the AI agrees. But then Grok goes, yes, all the whites need to die. Like,
well, I mean, but Grok is getting all of its, or the majority of its information from X or Twitter, right? And I don't know about you, Jack, but and I've been trying to figure out what to do about this. I have had a surprisingly large number of what I would call white supremacist or white supremacist adjacent people who have started following me. And I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think I have done anything or, to promote that on my behalf. So it's disturbing. It's very disturbing.
There's, without wanting to get too close to this topic, because it's not what we do on this show, I have found that I have had several conversations with some very large YouTubers, and how I got into these conversations, I have no clue. And these very large YouTubers are of the stripe that I would consider, if not likely racist, actually racist.
Right.
I am of the mindset that the only real way to combat such feelings of resentment towards somebody else in another person based on race, religion, sexuality, all the rest of it, the only real way to do that is to treat each other as human beings that have agency and are able to think things through. And I think one of the best ways of doing that, amazingly enough, and I am not for 1 second trying to politicize the hobby, one of the best way of doing that is just sitting down and playing a game together. Talk about elves and dwarves and dragons. One of the amazing things about Tolkien and his themes is that you've got the coming together of the different peoples to overcome an evil, and it is the what's the best way of saying this? It is recognizing the uniqueness of each individual race, elves, dwarves, men, and hobbits, coming together and able to cover for their various weaknesses that gives them victory in the end. Is one of the themes. And I think that's a lesson that we can very much learn from today, especially as things in that way seem to be getting worse. But anyway, I don't want to dwell too much on this particular topic. It's very heavy for my kind of show.
No, I know, but I just want to say real quick, Paladin Steve is here.
Hey man,
Steve.
Where did this guy come from? Like one day he just turned up, and now I see him everywhere.
I don't care. I love him. He's lawful good. He's a paladin.
Best class, by the way.
You know what? That's a good topic of conversation.
About that, but
Kyle disagrees.
Well, let's hear from Dean, because Dean sat there like a polite young man, and will. So best class, Dean. You know, just generically, doesn't really matter a system like flavor. What is your go-to class?
The best class ever. Human
yes.
male fighter.
Based. Get that
Longsword.
man a medal. Hold on. Let me just put him
Even
main.
wizards have said, with all their stats, that is the most created class and
Yeah.
played class.
Preach it, brother. This
So-
is now Dean's show, for he has
Yep.
spoken truth.
Thanks.
Bravo, encore, good sir.
Ah,
I love a human male fighter. Absolutely.
Yeah.
all right.
One of the first classes I ever played, and I
The
loved it.
first
First I ever
character
played.
class I ever played properly, which wasn't just like an amalgamation of rules that we'd found online, was a human paladin. Who was has actually been recreated for Brass's current campaign. His name was Baldur. He very rarely did paladin-esque abilities. He was just big man, plate armor, big sword. Let's game. That was Baldur.
Yeah, because what is a paladin if not a human male fighter, but is empowered by God?
Yeah, you see, this is actually something that people get upset with a lot, and that is trying to figure out what a paladin actually is. This is an argument that people really, really get at each other. It's like, is a paladin only human? Are they only lawful good? If not, why not? So there's these massive. I mean, Bert, who is another one of our co-hosts over on Nerd Cognito, he goes on this big historical tangent about how a paladin is just a member of Charlemagne's court. But he sort of forgets that they would have been knights, and knights swear an oath to whom? To God.
Yeah. I mean,
Or the king?
I think it's God first, then the king, isn't it?
It depends what you're
it's always God first. I mean, Jesus Christ, go watch Kenneth Branagh's Henry V, or just read the fucking text by Shakespeare, right? By Billy Shakes. You know, except for the matters of God which come before ours. Act 1.
I'm just going to leave this slander up on the screen for a minute.
Emmy, I thought we were friends.
So we got human fighter. You've got what's the race combination you go for, Brass? Is it human paladin?
It normally is human, yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm not a human supremacist. I do think dwarf paladins of Moradnir and all that sort of thing do have their place.
Fun.
They do exist.
All right.
Heretic.
Kyle, your favorite class race combo? I think we've been over this before, but not on this show.
Race class combo. I like either human or halfling rogue / thieves because I'm old school, right? I mean, modern parlance would be rogues. Little secret, the kind of house ruled homebrewed setting that I'm compiling from a lot of different old school sources. Paladins are not are not a class. They don't exist. And
that doesn't surprise me.
And Emmy, neither do gnomes.
So, Kyle, when you play as a thief, are we talking edgy black leather and knives, or are we talking Bilbo Baggins?
No, the black leather and knives is average Saturday night.
We're talking edgy black leather and knives. We're talking spies, a hint of James Bond.
Nice.
You know, some Black Ops kind of stuff in there. I mean, that's the kind of spy I've always played. It's like, or the thief I've always played back in the day. My preference has always been for human male fighters or human male thieves / rogues. I like rogues a lot because of the stealth factor. I really, really do. I love to play with those.
Oh yeah, I've never liked how they took from second edition. They started taking power away from the rogues. They made them more kind of their skills were shared by other classes, and then
the grey
fifth
slot.
edition, you don't need
the only thing I liked about how second edition did rogue/thieves was that you had an allotment of points that you could distribute into the different categories. Like, so if you wanted to be more of a pickpocket or you wanted to be more of a stealth guy, you could focus on that. I think that was really, really good. But
before we go much further, and before I go into my favorite race class combo, we do have a quick surprise. It's Jeremy from the Brothers Bad Toad. Hello, sir. Indeed. How have you been, sir?
Busy and tired.
I know that feeling. Well. So you've only got about 30 minutes, right?
Then I got to go grab my son from school. But we'll
get straight into the question then. Your favorite race class combo, just generically, system agnostic.
Like a dwarf fighter, always dwarf plus something.
Ooh, dwarf is good.
Got any explanations to us, or are you just going to leave it as it is?
It's just a fun class. I mean, when you could be anything, be a dwarf. It's just a fun thing to play.
My wife, I think she's on her second dwarf barbarian. She really likes.
And it
dwarf
won't
barbarian.
be her last.
And it won't be her
last. Play a dwarf barbarian soon. Spoilers.
Spoilers. Where is your game up on drive-through yet, Jeremy? Or you not going to now? They've changed the way they work.
It'll still be on drive-through. It's not yet. My brother and I, we got super busy after the Kickstarter. Both parents decided to move, and we're like in different parts across the country. So
you've been slave labor for a bit.
Oh yeah, for a good month and a half, 2 months, we've been busy running around doing all sorts of stuff. We are both beleaguered and tired, but we hope to get it up there soon. As soon as we have a spare minute.
Well, let me. Things are getting chaotic. Kyle, you've got to go soon.
I do.
Do you want to plug your things, and I will link your Twitter?
I've got nothing to plug. Follow me on @DyingBreedTT on X if you have an X account. As always, please follow Nerdcognito on the X account. You can subscribe to the Nerdcognito podcast on any major podcast provider of your choice. Just simply search Nerdcognito, hit the follow button, get the latest episodes. Recently, Ryan and I talked to Daniel D. Fox, who many of you, those who may not know, is the author of Zweihander, the RPG, which is loosely based on Warhammer Fantasy Role-Playing. He is recognized by many people in the OSR/conservative right as the guy who took down the Trove, among a few other things. He's a very polarizing figure. We talked to him a year ago. You can catch that episode. We talked to him in this most recent episode again. 1 year later, Hell Freezes Over. And I'll be honest with you. I mean, I think it's good when people have conversations, even with people that they don't necessarily align with or agree with.
Those are the best conversations.
Oh yeah.
I like the guy. He's a good dude. I mean, he's like everybody else, right? He's got a family. He wants his kids to have a good life. He loves this hobby. He loves games. I don't know what else to say. I take a lot of heat for liking the guy so much, but he's a good person. He really is a good person. We don't always see eye to eye. He would admit the same thing to me, but but he's willing to sit down and talk to us about it, and it's a great show. And I would really suggest that.
Yeah, I still need to watch the one that dropped on Tuesday, but it was actually the original conversation that you and Ryan did with him that got me on board in the first place. Like these guys, no matter how vilified they are, if they're willing to sit down with someone they disagree with like that and have a really long form, honest and open conversation about the problems that they have with each other and different issues with the hobby that they agree on and can fix together. That is the kind of thing I was talking about earlier on, where that is what builds the bridges between the chasms that modernity has created.
Yeah, and that's the great thing, Jack, is like, because I sat down originally just over a year ago thinking, I was like, I'm gonna hate this guy. I mean, he did, he took down the trove, he did this. I had a laundry list. And when we came out of it all, I was like, this guy's not half bad. I kind of like this guy. I liked him so much to the point that I supported his Kickstarter.
You don't do Kickstarters.
I don't do Kickstarters. Anybody who knows me know I rarely do Kickstarters. I supported his because I think he deserved it.
No, that's fantastic. Yeah, do go and watch that new episode. I have put the Nerd Cognito Rumble link in the chat there. Kyle, thank you very much for coming, sir.
Thank you, Jack, very
See
much.
you
You're
around,
always
Kyle.
welcome.
Brass, good to see you again. Dean, nice to meet you. Jeremy, sorry we didn't get more time. I'm
All right. It's the way the cookie crumbles. No big.
All right. Take care, guys.
See you.
Take care.
All right.
Right. So we've had human paladin-ish. There he goes. We've had human paladin from Brass, human fighter from Dean, dwarf fighter from Jeremy. My favorite class and race combo is probably elf or half elf ranger.
Boring.
I like it.
Boring? You chose human holy knight.
Yes.
I
Far more interesting than Legolas.
well,
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Legolas.
I really do need to stress that when I think of a ranger, I really don't think of Legolas. In fact, within the Lord of the Rings trilogy, I think Legolas is probably just a fighter with a bow. I don't think he's a ranger.
Yeah.
Controversial, but
How could I
Make
say
it-
something so brave yet so true?
So you're thinking Aragorn with pointy ears?
I mean, Aragorn is a half elf.
Yeah.
Well, he doesn't look like a half elf,
Technically,
okay?
He does.
Technically, he's a half elf. But
You got me there.
It's the thing is, Aragorn is, yes, he is the original ranger, but I would say he's got a lot of levels in fighter. I did a bit of a long time ago now. I posted a human fighter a day because human fighters are a lot more interesting than people say they are. I hate this whole meme of like humans are boring, it's stupid. And I put Aragorn as I think number 3 or 4 on the list as a human fighter. And there's like, but the Ranger was based on Aragorn. Yes, I know, but I'm pretty sure he's got a lot of levels in fighter. Just look at him go. The Emmy, Elven Maiden, she elf witch vampire.
Oh, there you go.
Emmy, did you have like dyed black hair when you were in high school and like really thick emo makeup and like flipping your hair sort of thing? Was that your kind of scene?
She's just from that side of Europe.
Oh, can't say that. Paladin Steve, human male longsword, holy or not, up to you, but let's go. Kind of, betraying your namesake there. I would have thought you'd have gotten all in on the Paladin. I am talk amongst yourselves. I need to die quickly.
Well, human fighters make up the majority of fantasy protagonists, so I agree that anyone who says, "Oh, human male fighter's boring," like you've got Conan. Maybe he's a barbarian. I guess is literally in the name, but barbarian is technically a fighter. It's just
when they first statted him out, he was a fighter/thief.
Exactly.
Yes, he
right?
was.
He just, instead of armor, he's got muscles. Although I think he does have armor in some iterations, but
I can respect an elf spellblade, by the way. I do like elf spellblades.
Elf spellblades, I agree with. Those are acceptable, interesting.
I
Was
don't
about
judge unless my god calls for it. Someone get that man a gold star.
That's a solid saying there.
In fact, the human male longsword, holy or not up to you comment he made earlier on was actually a rumble rant for a dollary-do. Thank you very much, Paladin Steve. Look, that's a true nerd in the chat there. Michael McLaughlin says fighter 14, thief 10. That's he's showing his credentials. Fucking nerds.
I don't have those credentials. I have no idea what he's on about.
That was Conan's original statistics.
Stat block.
Oh, there we are.
Fighter 14, thief 10, level 24 total.
Mm-hmm.
No wonder he's so strong.
Yeah,
Hold on. This is a new group of people I've not asked this question to yet. Oh, that's the Delver's theme. Won't play that. He'll copyright strike me.
Oh, I know what question's coming up.
Right. I'm going to ask Jeremy first because he's got the least amount of time. Who would win in a fight? All things being equal, mundane weaponry, choice of armors and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Driz Do'Urden or Conan the Barbarian?
I want to say Conan, but I want to say Conan.
Be honest with yourself.
But you gotta, it'd be Drist. I want to say Conan though, because he just doesn't stay down. I mean, he did get brought back to life, on a couple occasions. But Drist, I think Drist would win. But I want to say Conan, and it hurts. It hurts.
You see, this is one of those things where I've called. Yeah, that question did break the internet unexpected aspect. You are not wrong, but no, we'll get into the nitty gritty of it in a moment. But Dean.
Well, you said all things being equal, and all things aren't equal between the two because Conan is just a human. He's very strong, but Drift has magical
abilities to be used. Pure martial.
No magical abilities, and no panther. No panther. So you're talking a human against a ranger.
Well, yes, but the way. We're not talking statistics. Yeah. We're talking literary, because Conan is a literary character first and foremost. Even Drizzt is first and foremost a literary character, I think. So
I think it's definitely Drizzt in that instance because when it comes to character depth, there's a lot more to Drizzt than Conan. I have read some books that have almost brought me to tears because of the trials and tribulation Drizzt goes through. Whereas the Conan books are more about the testosterone fuel.
Conan books are like, ha!
I'm gonna yeah. And Conan's more fun. Drizzt is a lot deeper. So I think on those grounds, Drizzt
I knew there was a reason I allowed you to stay. I've not actually asked Brass this yet, despite the fact that I speak to him pretty much every day. Brass?
Right. Here's my uneducated opinion, because I do not know the heights of power of either of these characters other than Drizzt has killed white dragons, and Conan has led armies into battle or some shit, I don't know. But either way, all I know is that Conan, right, you said no magic and no magical swords, and I'm pretty sure Drizzt was carried by his magical swords when he fought most of the things he fights in the later books, probably. That's my guess, anyway, educated guess, right? I don't think he'd do that with regular scimitars. But Conan, all I know is there's more to him than brawn and muscle and slowness. He's not a slow person.
He's not.
Does Drizzt move at supernatural speeds?
Compared to a human, yes.
Compared to a human, yes. But is he going to be literally dodging and weaving every one of Conan's attacks?
Drizzt is described as being among, if not the most, dexterous, speedy dark elf to have ever been born.
Interesting, and Conan's probably the most strong and speedy
Conan
human
is
to
like
ever
this.
been born.
Not
So-
really. There are times where Conan goes up against stronger people, but Conan he's described as being as agile as a panther. Actually, funnily enough.
And this is what I mean. I don't think I don't know a lot about both characters, but I know Conan's not slow.
He's
so
not.
Drizzt would have to be literally like supernatural, not just superhuman. He's gonna be superhuman because he's a dark elf, but
Yep.
like super, like comic book hero levels of speed to avoid all of Conan's attacks.
Your
And
gut feeling, then, your gut feeling as someone who's only tangentially aware of both of the characters or only knows a little bit about both, who wins?
I think Conan, because I think what would happen is I think they're both skilled and fast enough to deal a damage to each other, but I think in my limited knowledge, Conan would tank more. That he would probably take those scimitars to the chest, probably through the bloody heart or something, still survive out of pure willpower, grab Drizzt by the neck and just snap. I don't know.
I see your point, and it is valid. How much time you got, Jeremy?
I got like another 15 minutes, maybe.
Perfect. I want to point something out here. Couple of adventurers, my grandest champion, welcome. Drizzt does read like a Mary Sue, and I actually agree that he is approaching a Mary Sue level, but he gets a sort of pass because the entirety of his character is that of being a fish out of water in terms of his people. So yeah, I think that he starts off with a very high power level, but he also makes a lot of damn mistakes, especially in his romance, his love life. So yeah, I think he does border on a Mary Sue. In fact, Emmy, you know, I will say right here and now, I think Drizzt is Mary Sue-ish to an extent. Now, when it comes to swordplay, I think that the most likely weapon choice of both is, I think Conan is likely going to go for either one big sword or broadsword and shield. I think that was most likely Conan.
Yeah.
I think he's going to wear light armor or next to no armor. I think he'll want to be mobile rather than wearing a hauberk, as he is described as wearing in the first Conan story. I reckon that Drizzt would likely wear, because Mithril isn't magical, he would likely wear his usual Mithril leather getup. He would give 2 mundane scimitars. Drizzt is not just a fighter. He is a master fencer. We're talking about a character, and something that R.A. Salvatore does incredibly well is technical swordplay. And like when he's describing fight scenes and he's describing the ripostes and the parries and the footwork, he's got a very clear idea of how Drizzt fights. Whereas Conan is very much the brutal, I'm quick, but I'm just going to smash you kind of fight. Now, he's not dumb. He is not stupid. He is still, he's got wily battle intellect. But Drizzt has more because he's lived longer. And will continue to live longer. I reckon that Drizzt would not only be able to fence the barbarian quite nicely. In fact, the only way Conan, I think, would win is if he gets hold of Drizzt and stops him from moving, like you said, Brass. But I think I don't think he would be able to. I think Drizzt's footwork and his relentless drow weapons mastery, I reckon he would be able to get around a lot of what Drizzt had to throw at. Conan had to throw
Would Conan fight dirty? Are we talking pocket sand?
I mean, yes, but so would Drizzt.
Oh, fair enough.
They would both fight dirty. Now, this being said, I think you'd probably all agree with me if there was a crossover story by some miracle that Howard came back, because I limit this to just the Conan books and just like the first several sets of Drizzt books. They would actually get on, I reckon. I think Drizzt and Conan.
Yeah, that would be my actual answer. Is there'd be a draw, they wouldn't fight.
Yeah, they'd. Because I don't think Conan's a good character so much. So, as in lawful good. But I think that Drizzt has had enough time around barbarians to kind of understand them. So yeah, I think Conan would probably very much respect Drizzt's swordplay. Plus, another thing you need to take into account is even if Drizzt is pushed to the brink, he's got an alter ego called the Hunter, where he becomes so much a fighter, his entire consciousness is so focused on the staying alive that he is reacting without thought. Like, he basically goes ultra instinct.
It's the edgiest thing I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah, well, he basically shut down his personality while he was on his own in the Underdark for several years because he was coping with.
But would Drizzt beat Elric?
Yeah.
You reckon?
I reckon, like, Elric is one of those things where he's like a snowball rolling downhill.
Because I could have sworn last time I asked you that question, it was a very different answer.
I don't think you ever asked me that question.
I have.
I don't remember. But I think if Drizzt was to fight Elric after Elric has already killed 3 or 4 people, Elric would win. Because he is using Stormbringer, supposedly.
Well, isn't it convenient that Drizzt has 3 companions?
Well, that's the thing. I reckon that... correct me if I'm wrong, Dean, Jeremy. Elric's entire... Like, Elric is an incredible swordsman and a sorcerer. But if he's got Stormbringer, that's going to be what clinches it. And he's also going to have to have fed Stormbringer well to have a chance. Would you guys agree?
Yeah, if he had fed, like you said, he got the initial 4 kills or something like that beforehand, then yeah.
Oh, apparently you have. The wife is saying you've asked. I have answered that question before. I don't remember. But no, what do you think?
Yeah, but we said this fight wouldn't include magic
weapons. In
weapons.
that case, Drizzt would probably win.
Drizzt definitely wins.
Because the whole point of Elric is that he is kind of fucked.
Yeah, I asked the question. I actually know nothing about Elric at all. I know less about him than Drizzt.
The idea of Elric is, he's an albino.
I've seen pictures of him.
He is kept alive only by by concoctions of rare herbs. That's herbs for you, Jeremy. Where he has to take these potions to have energy because he has deficient blood. If he doesn't take them, he's very lethargic and will eventually just expire. Stormbringer, his sword, will steal souls and transfer life energy to him in place of those potions. But they will also supercharge him based on the amount of life he steals. Oh, testing. Hello, Jeffrem. We do see you chatting away there.
It works.
Yeah, that's a point. We're talking about mundane swords. If we were to give them magical swords, who wins?
It would depend on the magical sword.
I don't think Elric chugging Red Bulls to stay alive. I don't think Conan gets a magical sword in the Howard stories, does he?
No, he just gets some cool looking swords. I don't think any of them are magical that I remember.
Oh, we have a Rumble rant for $1 due from Louverpool. Next time, can you have the Drizzt v Conan part of the stream in the first hour? The cool volume really drops at 5 p.m. EST, and I wouldn't have missed any of the good bits. So you just have to share this around and come back to watch it later. And like the stream, by the way, guys. Thank you for the money. I appreciate that.
Well, look, if Drizzt is taking down dragons with magical weapons, like what's his sword's names?
Twinkle,
Icing Death. Yeah, look, if you're taking down dragons, Conan is probably fucked. I mean, I don't even know what he's fought in his books. I know there was an elephant in a tower, which he had a very philosophical conversation with. That's about it.
Well, he didn't really have a conversation so much as he was just talked at by it.
Oh yeah, true. It was it was like a brass dragon conversation. It was very one-sided.
Yeah.
I think, honestly, I struggle to think of a character that Drizzt in, like, if we talk about just fantasy, genre fantasy, I struggle to think of a character in this kind of vein that Drizzt couldn't win in a duel against.
There's a few Skaven I think you would have trouble with in Warhammer Fantasy.
Warhammer's an odd one because a lot of it's bullshit.
I know one. Elminster.
Well, that's magic.
Same universe.
It is the same universe, but we're talking like martial prowess. Aragorn, I think, would have a good time against most people because of how much experience he's got.
Aragorn versus Conan. Oh, yeah, that's about.
Oh, jeez.
Aragorn wins.
Aragorn, yeah.
Is Conan just weak as shit or something? Like, what's going on here?
No,
He just loses in every matchup.
Conan would beat Elric, all things being equal.
It's just the brutality of like.
Who wins, Conan or Wulfgar? I say Conan, because Wulfgar is just the Conan flavoring for the Legend of Drizzt.
Yeah.
What about you, Dean? You think of anyone?
When we just talk physical prowess one to the other, I'm just going through some of the literaries, and Thor exists in AD&D. Was part, I think, it was one of the characters you could play in Bloodstone Pass, a very high level adventure where you took out Orcus.
Ooh.
And if I remember rightly, his stats were quite vicious. So I think Thor would actually give probably Drizzt.
So a literal god
as well.
All right.
Literal gods. Kratos wins.
Yeah.
Kratos. Kratos is a bitch.
Kratos has Skaven energy. That's.
Drizzt lost. He very nearly he lost to Artemis Entreri.
Yeah,
but Artemis is a different topic entirely. I like Artemis Entreri an awful lot. He's probably my favorite character from Legend of Drizzt. I mean, does Drizzt come close to losing? He technically loses his no, I think it comes to a duel when he fights Obald Many Arrows. I think the only time Drizzt ever really lost a fight, because again, when he's fighting, you can only really lose one fight, you know. Was during the first Melee Magvir tournament where he was tricked, and he very quickly learned that lesson. And then he was the champion of that tournament for the next, I think, 9 years.
Well, the only problem I've actually got with this whole argument is in Baldur's Gate 1, fantastic computer game.
And he's just tearing through knolls.
And you can kill him. So there is one person that can defeat Drizzt, and that's the player.
With great difficulty.
True. Level 20
Hanging up
barbarian wipes the floor with it.
You know, if you keep the swords, Twinkle and Icing Death, and you go into Baldur's Gate 2, you're the guy that attacked me, and then you have to fight him again.
Did not know that.
We've had another
know
Rumble rant from Jeff from Denkar. $2 dues. Maybe it's time to do a series of videos called Drizzt Word and Verses and give your take on how Drizzt could handle characters like Solomon Kane, Guts from Berserk, Gotrek and Felix, etc. You see, he does have feats very similar to Gotrek and Felix. Like, he's taken on demons like Ertu. He's beaten dragons. But the problem with Warhammer is that it's so over the top. It's supposed to be like fantasy taken to its extremes that any character you get from there is necessarily going to be strong. Also, Driving and Dragons, hello sir, welcome, long time no speak. Drizzt loses to Conan. Again, this is just emotive argumentation. I'm yet to hear anyone give a good argument
Can he
for it.
beat a space marine from Warhammer 40k?
Yes.
Are you sure for that?
Yes.
Fair enough.
The reason I say that is because fantasy is better than sci-fi.
Look, if I know anything about these power scaling debates, it goes Space Marine and then Goku. Okay, so can he beat Goku?
Pretty much.
Can he beat Goku? Good question.
I do have to leave you, fine gentlemen, though.
Oh, Jerry, thank you very much for coming, sir. Do you want to
Yes,
quickly
see you around.
plug yourself, and I will get the account?
Yeah, if you want to follow, keep up with us, you can join us at Twitter at Bad Toad Games on the Twitters, and that's where you'll find most of our up-to-date stuff and our nonsense when we have the energy to post.
I know that feeling.
Yeah. All right, you guys have a good one.
Jerry, bye,
See you,
mate.
Jeremy.
You know, one
you, Jeremy.
person I'm going to have to get on the show at some point is Amazing Gaming Productions, because he's got a I wish I knew more about his series, the Tales in Trinity City, because he's got a protagonist there which seems like it would be fun to learn about, but again, it's just time.
Yeah, he's always around. He's always lingering in chat.
We have
Get him
another Rumble round. Liverpool with another dollary due. You know what, guys? I've been paying for Restream for a few months, but never once have I actually had to pay for Restream because the audience is so good. They keep throwing money at me, and this stream pays for itself. It's really quite good. So I really appreciate the donations, guys. It helps me out an awful lot because times are hard, and I like doing this. It's just the money coming in helps pay for it. All goes back into the show. Much appreciated indeed.
How much have you made this stream?
Nearly 20, I think.
Ooh, we got to reach that $100 mark by the 1.5 hour mark.
But Liverpool says the Bible never says sorcery isn't real. It only says humans should never use it. That's correct.
True.
Maybe I'll do a dive into that on another time. Frick! Sick! I'm dying. It's fine. Can have all my stuff. Remember that.
Can any of these characters mentioned beat a brass dragon?
Pretty sure Driz can. Yeah.
Has he done it before?
Yeah, he beat a white one.
Then how do you know?
Pretty sure he beat a shadow dragon as well.
Nah, they're weak. Make shadow.
Or was that Bruno? I think it might have been Bruno. Which actor should play Driz and which actor should replace Arnold? I don't know actors. Do you guys know actors?
No.
Only old actors.
No.
I don't know any actors that would be good enough for, well, not good enough, but like the fit for any of those roles. I know Keanu Reeves, there we are, he'll make a good
Driz. Yeah, he'd make a very good Driz if he was 20 years younger.
No,
Yeah.
he looks 20 years younger, he's fine.
Yeah, but if you, like, the John Wick films broke that man. Like, his body is wrecked.
Yeah.
Driving in Dragons says Driz's biggest advantage is that he's poorly written. And with that, you've shown yourself to be not arguing a good faith, because the Driz book's fantastic. and being in the middle of the Conan stories at the moment, I think on a technical level, the Driz stories are better constructed. And I'm sorry, I really like Conan, but it's just Salvatore is better at constructing a paragraph.
Well, Conan was written 100 bloody years ago, so...
No, it's not that. It's that the story structure of Conan is short stories.
Well, yeah.
So it's a lot of information condensed, which is great. But when you're looking at long-form novels over now 40-plus books, I've only read like 20 odd of them. I don't know about you, Dean. How many of you read of the Legend of Driz?
I'm nowhere near the 20. Probably around about 4.
But when you read through these character arcs, I mean, the best alcoholism story that I've ever read is contained within the Legend of Driz. I'll put it that way. That's the kind of writer that Salvatore is. Now, I think Salvatore's made some very silly decisions in his later work that I'd love to talk to him about. But I will say that I think he is the more accomplished writer than Howard. I think Howard is iconic because he was one of the first, and I will definitely give him his due as being one of the fathers of sword and sorcery. But I think Salvatore sort of took the torch from the 80s into the early 2000s with it. Whether he's still carrying it, I'm not actually sure. By the way, thanks to you, Brass Dragon. Any Brass Dragon my PCs ever encounter will be Welsh.
Oh, excellent. Wonderful.
We have another Rumble rant from Paladin Steve once more. Thank you, sir. I will never forgive Salvatore for killing off Chewbacca. Therefore, even if you were right about that, I would still vote against Driz. Killing off Chewbacca? Eh? You talking about the thing with the Yockel? I'm honestly not sure what he means. Oh, I just rolled some dice.
What did you roll?
Well, one of them was a Jazari.
Well, that's a 20 then. That's a 20.
I got a 6. That's a 6 for this day. Right, chaps, we've been going for about an hour and a half. I think that's quite long enough because I can feel my throat dying. As we continue. So thank you for joining me. Let's quickly plug. Brass, you go first, even though you don't do shit all.
Yeah, I've got really nothing to plug. I'm the Brass Dragon 1 on Twitter because I'm the only Brass Dragon or something along those lines. And I haven't tweeted in about 5 years.
You tweeted me today.
Oh, no, I do every now and then. I do like tweets and I do comment on tweets. But I very rarely compose my own nowadays.
Look, it's funny because when you do your own, they are top notch.
I know, I have to think about them. That's the problem, and I haven't got any energy to think.
Quality, not quantity.
Exactly. If I tweet once a year and it's a banger tweet, that's all that matters.
Dean.
Yes, so you can follow me on Twitter at Hill_Jowett. You can also, as you can see here, I'm writing, hang on, there we go, Untold Destiny. I'm writing, in fact, pretty much finished a roleplay system, which hopefully you might hear something about in the near future. So at Everite Games, if you follow us there, sign up to our newsletter, hear all about it. Otherwise, we've got a YouTube channel, Untold_Destiny, and we've got a web series called Business Unusual. So follow us there as well.
Right. No, that is very good indeed. Everyone knows who I am. You can go and follow me as and when. Thanks very much for all the Rumble rants, chaps. Might not be a stream next week. Might be a stream next week. It depends on how certain things in the background work, but there will be content. I can promise you that.